Hello malt mates, welcome to the Whiskey Bothy. Welcome to review number, I've written it down so I wouldn't forget, 1124, and I'm reviewing this type of whiskey that often gets overlooked by most whiskey drinkers unless you're well informed and have some experience and do a lot of chatting in the forums and whisky festivals. This is Old Perth, 2009 vintage, 15-year-old, fully sherry matured, blended malt combining 3 unidentified single malts from the region of Speyside. It's been bottled at 53.6% volume. It's unchill filtered. It's natural colour. It says so on the label. It clearly tells you that's the case, and that's what matters to us. That is a natural colour. I'm sure you agree. There's some pretty active sherry maturation going on in this bottle. So I'll give you a wee bit more information off the back label because it is mercifully free of superfluous and frequently patronising flannel and contains some quite useful information for the authentic and the genuine whiskey drinker, which, if you're watching my channel, The Whiskey Bothy, you're one of those maltsters. So, Old Perth Vintage Collection, a unique vatting of single malt Scotch whisky from various distilleries from across the same year of distillation and fully matured in sherry casks. The sherry casks are stated as both Oloroso and PX. This was bottled in July 2024 as one of 1,482 bottles, which tells you it's a small batch. When you have a small batch, it means there's fewer casks involved. And then that in turn means that the identity of the casks tends to be a bit more intact, because when there's hundreds if not thousands of casks involved, the singularity of the single cask is totally lost and there's no way you're going to notice it. But for the sorts of people who buy big brand, huge volume, global access whiskey, really you're getting a brand experience and that's about it. If you're happy with that, good luck. But this is absolutely a step up from that. There's 2 labels in the front. It's the part of the vintage collection, it says, and it is non-chill filtered and natural colour down in the lower section of upper section of the lower label. I've poured a wee glass here, and I want to take the opportunity before I smell it and taste it to bring something to your attention which is really very important as a whisky fan. And that is that a less experienced whisky drinker will be wondering which particular single malts went into this batch. But that, frankly, for a 15-year-old blended malt or malt blend is not as important as the calibre of the cask and the casks that held the spirit. That's what really, really matters, because it's self-evident that you can put a good whisky into a poor quality cask and you will get bad results. It doesn't matter the quality of the whisky, the cask will destroy it. If you put reasonable whisky into good casks, sympathetic and active casks, you get the opposite effect. It enhances and lifts, promotes and presents the quality of the spirit in relation to its maturation. So it's important to note, when you've got a blended malt, you're not just looking at the blend components in terms of single malts, but the blend components in terms of quality of casks. This is hugely important. It'll absolutely make or break a bottle of whiskey. So, I'm expecting a bit of a sherry monster. Will I be disappointed? I don't think so. Ripe, juicy, sherbety, raisins, fruitcake, dates, dark plums, figs, all that big sherry stuff is going on. And there's more of it because it's not exclusively PX Oloroso or Oloroso casks. It's both. And there's very few of them involved, possibly 2, maybe 3. Because you can tell by the bottle numbers in the batch. This is a very small batch. So the energy and the quality of the casks, forget the spirit, we've not even reached the spirit yet, is very, very affirmative. It's very good in the nose. It's beautifully married. It's wonderfully weathered in a good old style warehouse. There's that little bit of mustiness and leather bookcases and old armchairs. You know, the kind of the vintage associations that you particularly relate to sherry matured whiskies. The nose is excellent. How about the taste? Neat. Initially, quite superficial. Fresh, clean sherry, zesty, very zesty, quite acetic, almost plum wine acetic or plum spirit, that's more like it, acetic. You really need to add water. Here we go. It's extremely rare in this channel that I don't add water. Now, before I go any further, here we go. Let's take the opportunity to have a look at the viscimmetry. Still combining, still mingling, still rippling in the glass. Very good sign of proper non-chill filtering. At this moment in time, it's only just beginning to fully merge the water and the spirit. I'm going to add another half a teaspoon because this is robust stuff. So I've added 5, 6, 7, 7.5 to 8 milliliters of water. Again, let's look at the viscimmetry. Less of it, but it's sustaining. It's still quite thready. This is important. It gives you some idea of the level of engagement of the casks. If they had been casks that had been sitting about for a while, you wouldn't get the intensity of the threading. It means there's more, not just previous content influence of the sherry casks, but of the wood in the sherry casks as well. And you can smell European oak on the nose. It's becoming slightly woody but aromatic, perfumey floral wood. Delicious, really, really good casks. And the casks make the whiskey. This is a blended malt. It's not a single malt. Single malts are perceived by most whiskey drinkers to be better than blended malts. Blended malts are somehow considered inferior, even though they are frequently not. This gives you and I an opportunity because we are smarter than the average consumer. And what we do is we look at the price of a blended malt, which is generally cheaper than a single malt, because that's the way the market works. I paid just under £100 a bottle for this, which was a lot of money 5 years ago, but with the rising rate of inflation globally, that money's worth a lot less now as it gets diminished in value by money printing through the banks. It's the way you devalue money. Make sure that your actual Ponzi, you got fiat. I do confuse the two. It's so easy to do. The fiat currency It's always devalued. It's just that in today's environment, if we're smart, we notice it more. So that's quite a bit of water added to that. Do I feel I got good value for the money? It's a 15-year-old blended malt from very good casks in a significantly small batch, which is highly aromatic and beautiful and still expanding in the nose. Yes, you're better a very good £100 bottle of whiskey than a completely forgettable, absolutely industrialised, sanitised, flatlining event at half the price. The real cost of a bottle of whiskey is not the price you pay for it, it's the real enjoyment that you get out of it. I'm noticing more and more people are just trying to save money and go for anything that's on discount and keeping their fingers crossed. You will find these people more often than not are disappointed and are increasingly put off whiskey for life. Taste. A luscious Muscovado, aromatic, big sherry arrival. It's no longer harsh. It's no longer bitter. It's just got that beautiful sensation balance of everything, including a delicious sour note. Just a hint of saltiness in the backdraft as the arrival moves into the development. Baked fruit, baked apples, baked pears, fried mango, fried banana, a little bit of that. Bear in mind, there's 3 malts gone into this, and they've each brought their own signature, and because it's such a small batch, rather than these signatures being lost in the mix, they're actually bonded together by the acquaintance of the sherry casks and are delivering more than the sum of their individual experience as single malts. I'll leave it at that. Another taste. That arrival keeps going on and on. It gets slightly confectionery mint. There's pickled pineapple in there. There's pickled ginger. It goes effortlessly through a fairly discreet, gentle, understated development. And in the finish, soft, delicious, slightly confectionery tannins, some beautiful crystallised ginger, and that sherry note never once recedes, it never once goes away, and Maltmates, it never once disappoints. This is a delightful whisky. At the moment in the UK, in the Old Perth collection, there are roughly 6 to 9 bottlings available. I recommend you look out for them. I recommend you give them your attention if you see them. And if you come across them at any whisky festivals, I highly recommend them to you for a try, because they are a very good illustrative example of why we should always challenge our whisky prejudices when it comes to blended malts over single malts. Let's give this a mark now and get on with concluding the show. "84 out of 100. That's my malt mark. Blended malt mark. See you for the next review, in which I'll be discussing blended malts in a bit more detail, because there's things, Maltmates, you really need to know. See you soon. Bye bye.